All right, we are gonna go ahead and paint the background. So for the background, you'll notice that it's pink in the middle and then it's more reddish on the edges. This one, I did a lot of texture work. I like the texture work because it doesn't show errors. My different samples have a little bit different backgrounds, but they're all pink in the middle and then red toward the outside. And we are not going to mix this pink. We're gonna use a ready-made pink, and that way if we have to go back and fix something later, you can just touch up from the bottle without having to try to make the color again, which saves you a lot of time. So we're gonna start off by getting about a little bit more than a thumbnail amount of paint of each color. Maybe like that amount. And the red, you won't need quite as much. Maybe this is 3 thumbnails, maybe just 1 thumbnail of red. We can always get more. Just keep the colors at your table so that you know which red and which pink you used. And then you will need to use your big brush, the big flat brush. You have different brushes in your set, and there's the thinner flat brush, and then there's some round brushes, but we want to use this big one. We're covering a lot of area really fast. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna literally paint the whole canvas pink except the candy canes and the holly, and then we will go and fade the edges. I like to sweep the brush back and forth like this. It just spreads the paint out evenly and it lets it dry faster. And you get to cover a lot of space very quickly. With the flat brushes, when you get close to an object, what you want to do is instead of going this way, you're gonna slide your brush along the edge of your line and then pull away from it. And that will get you nice and close to those details. When you get really close to details like the holly leaf, you can slide your brush as best as possible, but if your brush is too big to get into a certain point, then don't force it, just use a different brush. Okay, so your goal right now is just to get pink all over. Now I have pink all over the background. It's still a little wet and that's fine. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take more pink in my brush, and I'm going to put it around the edges around the bottom. I'm just gonna work this bottom area for a minute. So I have some pink on there. It's nice and wet on the canvas. I'm going to go with my brush. I'm not gonna wash it. I'm just gonna dip the tip in red, and I'm going to start using like an X motion right at the very edge. I don't want to bring the red too far in. It will make its way in naturally, but you don't have to like force it. So I'm just going to start dragging this in. If I get a little bit on my candy canes, it's really not a big deal because we can paint over it with white. And you'd rather have candy canes or background that looks like it's actually behind your candy canes than have a background that looks like you painted around your candy canes. So don't worry if you get a little bit on your actual candy canes. I'm just getting a tiny bit of red. I'm gonna go along the edge here while this is still wet, and I'm gonna just feather it in. I'm flicking the brush. I'm not painting, I'm just flicking it and go back and forth, X pattern. It just gives it a little bit of texture so it doesn't look like a very plain background. Again, I'm just barely tipping the edge of the brush into the red. I don't want too much red, otherwise it'll just take over the painting. That was a little too much red, so I'm gonna just spread that around a little bit. You wanna work fast, because the faster you work with the wet paint, the less you'll have to repaint areas. It'll still blend nicely without having to go back and start again. There's too much red here, but I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit more, kind of like the red in the corner here. That one I don't like so much. I'm gonna spread this part. See right here, this is getting dry and it has that like rough texture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and grab pink, and I'm just gonna put the pink back on top. I didn't have too much red on my brush, so it didn't take over my paint. If you go back and dip in pink and it just still looks red to you, then you probably had too much red on your brush, and what you can do is just rinse it in your water and dry it on your paper towel, and then go back and grab your pink again. Okay, so now I'm just gonna try to even this out so that it looks nice all the way around. I am out of pink and this is too dark in comparison to this, so I'm gonna grab a little bit more, but not much. It's like less than one thumbnail amount of paint. I'm gonna pull the pink back into this corner that I don't want so dark. And if you are done like before everybody else, go ahead and take the color that's on your brush and paint your edges as well. It'll look nicer if you hang your artwork up on the wall at home. It'll look nicer if you have painted edges. Now just beware, if you paint your edges, they're gonna be wet, so you don't wanna touch the canvas to your shirt or to your arms or anything. You just gotta make sure it dries. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just paint one edge and then I'll come back and paint another edge when I get another chance.